Good evening. I hope you can hear me okay and see me okay. I'm just looking at my picture and wondering. If you give me a bit of feedback, that would be fab. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Technical hitches as ever. Hi Fionn, how are you doing? Can you just let me know how I am? I'm on the new Wi-Fi, so I might be taking a risk. Well, not on the Wi-Fi, so I'm on a connected cable. Hello, good evening. Hi Daniel. What time is it over there? I saw one of our challengers from Australia was just asking to get in, so it was quite nice to see people on it, wherever you are around the world. Hi everyone. Sorry again just for being a few minutes late. Trying to get set up. This place wasn't designed for broadcasting really, with the acoustics or the lighting, so I'm always faffing, so I apologise. But we won't be here after tonight because it's obviously, I'm here because of this chap. Just going to let everybody catch up because I'm obviously a little bit behind. I do have my dogs with me this evening, so let's hope they behave themselves. Don't cause me too much trouble. They're fighting over a chew just before. Right. Well, I won't keep whoever's on already waiting. Yes, so welcome to the first live of the Design Your Way Challenge. Very exciting. It's lovely to have you all here, and I'm actually a bit envious because there's some amazing pieces of furniture in the group already. Even if you've not shared yours, you'll probably agree with me. Makes mine look a little bit humble, I have to say. What was I going to say? This is really all about designing for furniture. So I know there's been a couple of questions about, doing it up along the way. The idea is that you'll be ready to go for it at the end of this week. That's where I wanted to get you from here to Friday. And sort of my ethos really, and so there'll be lots of this sort of peppered in throughout it, is really designing in a sympathetic way, but also an authentic way. So it's what you like, really. So that's what I'm hoping to impart, a lot of my sort of thought processes as we go along, and hopefully that will help you find your style. That's my thinking behind it. I've got in my way quite a bit when it comes to designing, so this is why I really wanted to do this, because I know that I know how rewarding it can be, the creative process. It's a really good time of year and a good time of what's going on to have a bit of time out for yourself, to be a bit creative as well. So hopefully it'll be a lot of fun, and that's the most important thing. I want you to just have fun, not to worry too much about it being perfect, about creating the best design ever, because it's just about flexing those, maybe stretching them for the first time, those muscles that maybe you haven't been letting yourself use. It's like I posted the other day a quote about boxes of crayons. I don't know if people saw it. This is me hopefully letting you go off and play with your crayons. If you've not been letting yourself up to now, that's what I want to kind of help you with, really. But like I say, the main thing is about having some fun and being creative. And so really that's why the 5-day challenge I think is a good format, although it's completely untested, so we're on this ride together, to go fairly quickly with it so that we don't procrastinate or overthink it or get bogged down with too many decisions. We have to sort of move on to the next day. With that said, you can kind of go at your own pace as well, so I don't want you to feel like, I can't keep up. Just, if you want to, come back to it and watch the stuff on replay and do a few bits together. The idea is you should be able to keep up with it just with a bit of work each day. Some days it might find it's less than others. You might find some sections of the process, like today, for example, people are posting their piece of furniture up and saying, what they think the condition is. So, smashed it. That didn't take very long at all. So there might be some stages where you think, yeah, I'm sorted with this, or I don't need this bit, or I can do that in my head. It's really not a dictated process that you absolutely have to go through from start to finish. The idea really is that there's lots of generating processes in there, really. So just to sort of get involved with it, which is also why I'm not sort of revealing an agenda, I suppose we'd call it in the work world, of where we're going. I mean, we know where we're headed, but I would like to sort of let it unfold day by day, so that you're only thinking about that day's task and not thinking ahead, because I think that's where sometimes you can get a bit lost with trying to visualise it done, instead of letting it sort of unfold and develop as it goes. I don't know what the dogs are doing, so we might see them appear and join me. Yeah, so going quickly, I think, is a good thing. But the thing to note about that is it's not like we're actually doing the upcycling. So if you get to the end and think, I don't like that design, you'll have got something out of the process of pushing yourself through it. You can change it. So that's why I say it's good, because it kind of keeps you moving, and keeps you sort of not getting too bogged down or sort of swamped with the details. So what was I saying? So it's just about the design process. This is just a little bit of a run through before we get cracking on today's task. Also I really want to encourage people to play and to try things out, and again that is really sort of treating it lightly and quite fun, I suppose. For me, there are no mistakes. There's no mistakes. So it's just design development. That's the way you've got to look at it. So I'm going to encourage you to let go. Perfectionism can stop a lot of us from actually creating, because we're just trying to get it right. That's why we sometimes can't visualize it as well. We want it finished and perfect in our heads. So I'm going around saying to myself these days, done is better than perfect. There'll always be another piece of furniture where I can do the perfect design, but getting a design finished and visualized is actually more rewarding than driving yourself mad. Don't be coming in here. But hopefully, as we go through, I'll sort of share some sort of more around that, because it's not just about a design process really, and this is based on a sort of standard sort of design methodology, but sort of adapted from me doing furniture the way that I do it. And as I can say, some of this I don't necessarily go through step by step these days. It might just be in my head from the experience of having done bits of furniture before. But quite a bit of it's mindset as well, about believing that you're creative and letting yourself just go for it a little bit. So there'll be a bit of that as well. But it is about, just going with the flow a little bit. It's not sort of prescriptive sort of, if you do all these things, you'll get that at the end. It's sort of going with the flow to some extent. So let's crack on with tonight anyway. So I'm obviously in the studio. This session won't necessarily be as long as it might be this one, just because it's the first one, and I'm saying hello. And also I'm down here with this piece of furniture. So I'll probably do them from my desk, because the lovely thing about designing is you can do it in your slippers. But obviously when it comes to upcycling, you need to be somewhere like this. And I'm quite envious of actually, you guys have got a piece of furniture at home, because I've had to come out to the studio in absolutely freezing weather. But you're worth it. So I'm just going to go through the task on my piece, and then once I've done that, I'll be ready to actually sort of sit in the warm and do the nice stuff over the next few evenings with you. So I'm just going to go through the tasks, but feel free to ask any questions. If you've already done yours, that's fantastic. Well done. I think people are absolutely smashing it and getting the pictures perfect. I will still run through it, because obviously the emails doesn't give me much space to go into a lot of detail, and it might be that people are wondering, well, how are they getting those shots, and mine don't look like that, or what do you mean assess the condition? So I'll just sort of walk through it with this one, and you get an idea. But do feel free to ask some more questions, and if you're watching on replay, of course, I'll come and answer the questions on the post as well. So our first task was to decide our piece, which I thought would be a tougher task actually. I know quite a few people had more than one piece, and I think you just got on with it, which is pretty good. If anybody's still stuck, feel free to post up their selection. There isn't. I've kind of stayed away from sort of suggesting, because actually it's down to you and what you want to design for. There isn't really a right or wrong here. Personally, because I do masking tape design, geometrics, I'm often going to look for flat fronted pieces. My dog's tearing something up over there, so I hope you can hear me okay. Flat fronted pieces, not too much embellishment or trim. It's not my style anyway, sort of mouldings and etc. In fact, I've been known to take the mouldings off, so that I've got plenty of scope to play around, and you don't have to go in and out with the tape, because that makes it more complicated for yourself. So that tends to be my style. I tend to go for pieces of furniture, so mine's a bit humble compared to a lot of yours, and I think you've got some gorgeous pieces. I tend to go for pieces that need a lot of design on them to make them interesting. As you can see, this piece is not very interesting. You can see its feet down there as well. It's got quite basic little feet. It's not even got cabriole legs like I've done before. So it's very plain, and it hasn't even got an exciting grain. So I get a little bit envious, so I'm just going to try and line that up again. I get a little bit envious of people with these amazing Art Deco pieces, but it's sort of my ethos really, is to go for the pieces that they can take more design on them, because you're not I love the wood grains, but sometimes I'm tempted not to put something over the top of it because it's, you know, doesn't need you, I suppose. It doesn't need you. And that's what I say about sympathetic and balanced design. I tend to work for the piece itself. So as we'll go through, you'll see that part of tonight is a little bit around giving yourself a bit of a brief, giving yourself some things to work within so it doesn't feel so much like, oh, what am I doing with this? So, I've decided mine is going to be this one, and I honestly have no idea what I'm doing with it. I nearly did pull another piece in that I'm a bit further along with, but no, I'm flying by the seat of our pants. So the idea is to get a really good picture of it for a few reasons, for the design process itself, but also for, well, I'll tell you what's really good for at the end. You're not kicking yourself that you didn't get a before picture, because the before and afters are really rewarding. So, just a few tips for anybody who isn't sure about this, because it's not immediately obvious, to get a really good picture. And actually, you can edit these afterwards, but if you're not sort of, you know, sorry, the dog seems to be ripping up some cardboard over there, so I do apologise. I'm going to use a phone, obviously, but you may have a proper camera. So this is probably not so, can't really get right back of it, so I'll usually be straight in front of it and make sure that my phone is really level and not tipping forward, because what you then get is your piece shrinking towards the bottom. You can just about see it there on my phone. I want to line it up with the guideline really, so I'm going to make sure that my phone's nice and level. Again, probably don't have this issue with the camera. You really struggle to get behind it and see what you're doing without tipping it. You could try a tripod or putting it on something. And I also want to make sure that it's level with the top, so you get a nice sort of square view of it. So I'll just take my picture. I've got a really bad glare off the light, but what I'll probably do is I'll edit the background out, so when I come to work with it. So I've got that. Let's do another one. And then I might do the doors open. I don't tend to do imagery of the inside. I have a couple of times, but have a look at that if anybody wants to. You can see obviously mine's going to need something doing to it because it's quite utilitarian, should we say, inside. It's not particularly very pretty. Yeah. If it's going to have something a bit more exciting going on than just painting, then, or shelves are going to be fitted out, then I might do a design. The other view you might want to take a picture of over is from the side, which I won't do right now because it's a bit difficult for me to get to. I could turn it towards me, but that, again, that's tricky. I'd not want to get it from the side so that I can see any design that might go over the side or over the top in my imagery. Because I'm doing quite intricate designs, I generally tend to put them on the front only. I've done a few recently where they have gone down the side, but it's a lot of work. And so generally by the time I've done all this very intricate work, I'm quite glad I'm not doing the sides as well. But it's totally up to you. It's just obviously, sometimes it's double the work. So, got the photograph ready to go, which is going to come in very useful later on. And then the next thing to do is to assess the piece. Just going to check in. Ooh, the scroll bar goes to sleep on the chat thing, so you just think that no one's talking, and then you realise, oh, hello. Hello, everybody. I'm a bit blurry, am I? Fortunately, you don't need to see too well in this one, and I do think it's down to the Wi-Fi, so I apologise for that. Hey, Tom. Yours is a bit blurry as well. I think it's my new Wi-Fi, but I have much better Wi-Fi at home, so we'll be absolutely fine when it comes to the pin-sharp detail of what I'm doing over the next few days. Unfortunately, it was a little bit of a risk. What I could do is try and get onto the... oh no, I am on it actually. Let's try and get on. Right, you shouldn't do these risky things in the middle of a live, should you? I hope it's okay. It's 3 p.m. in Canada. Good morning, Lee. It was you I saw joining the group at an hour that I thought perhaps you might be in bed. It's a bit pixelated. I do apologise, guys. Yeah. I tested this out earlier. It looks a bit out of focus. I'm going to take it offline again, actually. So, am I back? Am I there? Let me know. It's not the greatest of times to have had to change a Wi-Fi, but it's only for this one session that it'll affect us. So, I'm just going to talk through the condition of this piece, really. Am I there? Can somebody just let me know that everything's okay? I'm going to be piecing lives together. There's not a lot I can do about the light in here because if I turn the lights off, it's dark. it's awful fluorescent tubes. Yeah, thanks, Sharina. It's not ideal. I'm stuck between two Wi-Fis that aren't great. The new one that's been installed isn't any better, so yeah. Right, anyway, you're not going to need to see too much detail on this, and you don't need to see that much detail on me at the end of the day, to be honest. It's lockdown chic. So, I'm going to assess the material it's made of. So obviously I've got a wooden piece of furniture, but I also want to assess the sort of condition of the wood. So I want to, thank you, Jackie. I want to suss out, is it going to be solid enough stripped wood, or is it going to have to be painted? Because all of that can help inform my design. So these are things you just want to go through and note down. Start a little sort of, like I say, it's like a very light brief. We'll be coming on to a few more things tomorrow, which will help you get more of a picture of the design than you realise you probably already got. It's just you've not put it down anywhere. The sort of must-have things. So if you have got big pieces of missing veneer or bubbled veneer that looks like it could be difficult to deal with, that probably says that you might have to paint, and you might not be able to have your wood on show. There's a certain amount of fixing you could do, so things like scratches, things like chips, you know, in just little bits of veneer that are missing, are repairable and disguisable, if that's an actual word, so that you could continue a sort of design over wood, as you'd say. Yeah, so that's the sort of thing to go around and appraise, really, is get an idea of that, because that's going to dictate, to a large extent, what you're going to be able to do with it. If you get to it and you realise, oh, it's laminate, it's actually not even wood, that might be something you need to think about. I think we've got a lot of really lovely wooden pieces in the group as well. For mine, I haven't got very exciting veneer. Now, I can see the grain on it, and generally you're going to get a much more grain coming out when it's been stripped. So I would say, if you can't quite tell and it looks very flat and brown, stripping can kind of help to sort of bring out the grain, but oftentimes you can see it sort of just under the surface, you get a sense of it. So you might be able to see that I've got these diagonal, they just actually put it on a diagonal, so they're coming together, which rather suits me quite well because I quite like a chevron. So you know where that's going probably, because that already gives me some ideas. However, the wood on the drawers, as I'm assessing it, is going the other way. It's going across the way, and it's really quite plain. So I'm kind of thinking, well, it's already giving me some ideas about working with this, but you know, how we'll make it work with that, whether you just go over the top of it or not. So these are little things you can note down. You know, it's got a very figured grain. You're going to maybe go around it because it's too, you know, it's very patinated and you don't want to sort of clash with it. Or, you know, if you've got a really nice piece, you can just assume that you can do anything you like to it. If it's very damaged, you know, it tends to be that you're going to be starting to think about painting a piece. But that might inform your design the other way. You might be able to leave little glimpses of wood and have more paint, but just little glimpses of wood instead of more wood and little glimpses of paint. You know, so there's things you can do there, but by going through it and working it out. Mine has got these rather hideous looking handles. I usually do keep the original handles and I'll refinish them, so if you want to ask any questions about that when you're trying to decide which to do, just post a picture. These are mine, aren't they lovely? I mean, you could paint them metallic, they're just a bit stodgy looking, aren't they? So I will probably replace those with something a bit more elegant. So that puts something else onto my little brief. I need to find handles, and I need to sort of think about them in terms of the whole look. Luckily, they are single hole, which is unusual for that sort of shape, because that gives me a lot more freedom about what I can do, because obviously you could, if you did put another in a corner, they usually have two screws, then I'd have to sort of change the positioning of it, or maybe fill the holes and then re-drill them completely. So that's quite nice. So it means I'm probably going to be looking at putting some knobs on, some little, hello. So that's another thing that I can add to my notes, is that that's something to do, because these are the sort of things that you might start to give you an idea of a design that you can then hang everything else around. I just saw a piece actually yesterday from a lady at Lollipop Interiors, who she'd actually taken the handles and had some fretwork cut out to actually match the handles on, and done a pattern on the side. So little details like that can really kind of set you going. And sort of blossom into a big design, you know, sort of a fully realised design is what I mean. So, you know, small elements like that, you may have already decided. You may think, I've got this paint that I quite like, that I would like to use on this one, or I know I want this colour, whatever. We're going to come on to it a bit more tomorrow. But this is just about the piece really, and how the piece dictates where you might be going. So I know the handles. I think this is a bit sort of low on detail, this piece, so you may have more to assess. You may have mirrors, you may have sort of fittings for a drinks cabinet, that sort of thing. I do know that mine's going to need some treatment on the inside because it is a bit dowdy. So it might be a decoupage, it might be a painted job. It may have a mirror at the back to make it, you know, it really does elevate something that's as brown and boring as this. The fittings are all good though, so I don't need to worry about that. So it really is just the handles. I don't need to worry about legs because it's got those stumpy feet, so that's good for me. And then the other thing really is just to sort of note any design details that grab your interest on top of like the wood grain. So mine hasn't got very many, to be fair. Now some of these pieces have nice twiddly Art Deco bits, but this one's really got nothing. In fact, most of the details actually on the handle. So I've got carte blanche here and I think it may go a little bit more modern than Art Deco. I can't help but start to think about these things, but especially when I've just finished this one here, there's, you know, it might have some influence on it. And because it hasn't got more vintagey details, I could change direction with it a little bit. So you want to note those things down. Maybe there's some kind of element or emblem, or I don't know, on your piece that you think, do you know, I like that, I'm definitely going to highlight that, I'm going to bring that out, and have that, you know, have that noted down. But what we'll do is we can bring some imagery in as we go into the other stages, and you can actually visualise it and have pieces next to it, and you can take those motifs that you might have and start to work with them. So then, obviously, you're creating something that sort of, it makes sense with the piece as it was, but sort of elevates it, because a lot of these pieces do look, you know, as beautiful, as good as the bones are, as we say, they do look just tired and just like they really just need a good old facelift. So I just go down again, make sure I'm not missing anything. What else? Yeah, so fittings, handles, legs, things like that. Just shout out if there's other ones, you know, if you want to post up anything that you're not quite sure about. These sort of things, just noting them all down, what you need to think about when we come on to actually sort of pulling together the details which will help me build that picture of your design. I tend to, personally, my own style is to work quite symmetrically, so this is why something like this is perfect. But you've really got to sort of, I think you've got to work with what suits your eye, and so that's what hopefully as we go through, that's what we'll hopefully, slightly distracted by the dog scratching over there. Yeah, but that's probably one of the key things for me is looking at a piece of furniture, sort of listening to a piece of furniture. I think a good designer listens to their client, the client, or if you've got a client, if you've actually got a client that you're designing for this week, you know, it's inhabiting their style, it's getting familiar with it, it's asking for some pictures of the room, asking some pictures of favourite things, and getting under the skin of it. If it's just for sale or for yourself right now, then you can just choose the things that really float your boat and get you sort of get a reaction from you. But you want to listen to the piece of furniture, I think, rather than sort of, you know, and then everything becomes quite, I think, balanced and sympathetic. I hope that's not very loud because it's quite irritating. Yeah, so that's my sort of way about going about things. But the idea really this week is that there's room for more styles here. I know a lot of us will like this, the geometrics, and obviously we can, you know, I'll be going through my design and it will involve those elements. And but I want to talk about the sort of designing authentically, which for me means choosing things that you like because you like them. And you know, that might be geometrics, it might be other things. You know, it's exploring that. So that's the sort of long and short of it. So that's a sort of run through the tasks for tonight. If anybody's got any questions, let me know. gone all quiet, hanging on my every word. But I think that's everything. Anyway, I'll just make sure I've run through everything to do with my piece. Oh yes, what else did I do? Yeah, just about the proportions on mine, because mine is very plain, not very exciting shape, is it? So mine, I think that's why it needs more design, lots of interest, because it hasn't got those elegant shapes that some of your pieces have got. And I have taken a few measurements actually for when I get back to the computer. I'll do a mix of working on paper and working on a computer, so it's a bit of both for people. I won't be going as far as actually designing in Photoshop, but I might show you some bits anyway. But I've measured because I'm thinking I might want to know what the height of everything is to create some symmetry going down the piece. Some of my designs kind of they repeat, so you kind of need to know if it will fit across the front of the piece, and that's why having photographs is really helpful, because you're actually working with the specific accurate proportions, as you'll see when we come on to that. Joanna is asking, would you ever do a design with curved edges or only straight? I'm trying to think if I've done curved edges. I've just done the curved edges of sort of the front of drinks cabinets that have got round. You can certainly do it with curved edges, and the curved edges of some of the sideboards I've done recently, and it can look really eye-catching, because the light catches, especially if you're using metallic or something, catches off that as it curves round. Where it gets a bit complicated, if you've got recessed things, if you've got drawers that you've got like almost like a panelling and a recess bit and you have to go in and out, that can get a little bit fiddly to take your tape over. It's not impossible, but it can lift and sneak underneath, and so you can be doing a bit of cleaning up with that, just because it's fiddly. Like the Nathan sideboards with the squares, they can be quite fiddly if you want to do tape designs in those. But everything is possible, I think. Anyway. Monica was asking what programs. So if you are interested in doing anything with graphics packages, because I do most of my designs in a graphics package now, but if I need to do something that's not geometric, that's really difficult. I mean, I don't have Procreate, which obviously you can use the pencil with, so you could do curves, and that's what I'm thinking I might treat myself to actually. I would do those by hand, so that's why I will do a bit of both. So Procreate is one. I use Photoshop, which largely gives me geometric shapes. So that's kind of, but that's the thing that floats my boat. That's what turns my eye, is the sort of the angles of the geometrics like behind me. What else? There are some others. Some people have to chip in other packages. I know there's another Apple package, I can't remember what it is, that somebody used in one of my last courses to design in. Oh, I think the heating's gone off. Hayley's saying her handles don't seem to come off, so you're probably stuck with them. Yeah, so maybe tape around and yeah. So for the purposes, I was saying actually to somebody yesterday, was it the day before? They started to take the handles off, and I said, oh, you'll need to take a picture. And then I realised if you're getting rid of your handles, take a picture with the handles off is absolutely fine, because you can then obviously sort of play around with what shapes might work for new handles. Yeah. Sometimes they're just glued on, and you can get a flat edge and a little hammer, and the old glue just cracks and they just pop off. But obviously gently so, because we don't take any nice wood off. Yeah, so I'll also, I think there is, when it comes to doing the imagery, the way that I do it, it's quite good to take the background out. So I might try and show you that in Canva, because they've got a nifty tool in there. So I'll be using, I'll drop into Pinterest, and I'll probably show you a bit of Canva as well. And then, as I said, I think I'll do the designing on paper. But then I might take it into Photoshop to do it, to actually make it into a clean design. So there'll be a bit of everything, hopefully, for everyone. If you're completely paper-based, in terms of pulling together inspiration and stuff, you might need to start looking around for some magazines and other bits like that, if you're not wanting to go on a computer at all, because it does limit the range of what you've got access to. Daniel says, have you ever designed a table or always dresser-like pieces? Yeah, they're mainly only cabinets and sideboards that I do. I know I have been asked a few times, but no, I haven't actually done one. I don't know. don't know why. I suppose it's they don't appeal to me in the same way. And I certainly know I don't like doing chairs, so you'd have to have the table and no chairs, because the chairs are hard work, so maybe that's probably why I don't. Are there any pieces of furniture you would tend to avoid working on, says Joanne? No, no, I work on laminate. I think very ornate pieces, waxed exotic wood, probably. Just a bit of pain. Susie's has got cane outside as wood underneath. Oh, hang on, we're going a little bit past that. Hang on. Oh, any piece I tend to avoid? I have to think, Joanna, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that I would. I mean, IKEA. Mind you, yeah, if it needed it, probably I would. No, because I mean, we can prime and prep things. Just the things that are absolutely falling apart, perhaps they're the things to avoid. So I'd suggest, especially if it's your first piece, don't take on something that's too broken and knackered, because you might get discouraged. You want to get to the fun stuff and enjoy. Paula says her daughter is a web designer and she advised her to try Snapseed. Yes, Snapseed is very good for editing photographs, and it is really good to use. It's not so much a drawing tool, I don't think. I might be talking out of turn, but I use it regularly for my photographs, and it's really good on the move, and it's amazing what you can do just, with your fingers. Whereas, Photoshop, it takes a bit more experience. So it's very good, yeah. I believe you can take away the background in that as well, but I've not cracked that yet, so I'm still figuring my way around it all. But it's very good. Maya's asking, would I recommend graph paper to be better for getting the right dimensions? Well, actually, as we'll come on to, this is where your photograph is useful. Unless you want to draw it out, you're very welcome to if you've got that sort of skills. But I think in terms of then having to locate exactly where the features of it are and get it very accurate, you might as well use a photograph and work with it. And then you've got almost a carbon copy plan for when it comes to doing your design. And I'm planning towards the end, I'll put some more information out about it later in the week, but to do a bonus session around applying the designs, not actually applying the designs, but you get to the end and you think, well, that's great, thanks Nikki, but how do I actually go ahead and make this reality? Because I'd like you to not worry about how you're going to do it while you're designing, not let that get in the way and stop you, just being creative. But yeah, we'll do a session towards the end on actually applying designs, and so having something at the end to actually go by which has got the right proportions means you're not suddenly faced with something that doesn't fit. So yeah, you can draw it out, and I will go through that on Thursday. She says shivering because the heating's gone. My piece has cane outside, but it's wood underneath, so would it be a hard surface to paint or tape? But I've had ages and need to find some inspiration. Certainly worth a go. I think it's just prepping cane that's the thing, because it's quite shiny, isn't it? And getting it sort of keyed, because sometimes it's obviously round as well. I'd have to have a look at that one though, because it sounds interesting. If Rebecca's saying, if I strip veneer on the cupboard door, will the pattern still be underneath? Largely, assuming it is wood veneer, your pattern will come through even more. So this will be a little bit more pronounced. In fact, I can just about see a paler patch in the middle there. It should come up more because these old varnishes have aged and darkened, and actually I think they also put quite dark coloured varnishes on to sort of unify different wood types, so it just looked like it was all one type of wood, and then underneath you've got a bit of oak and you've got a bit of walnut, and so usually you'll get a nice surprise when you strip your wood. One of your handles is broken, Nicola. I'll have to have a look at that and see. It's often, yeah, if it's old, yeah, it can often be easy just to replace the set. But you never know. You might find somebody's got one kicking about, so let's just post a picture up and... oh no, Jackie's got IKEA. Sorry, Jackie. There's absolutely nothing wrong with IKEA, and I'm firmly of the mind that as we run out of vintage furniture, we will have to start upcycling the stuff that's getting older, that's quite modern right now. The lady just finished a piece that was from the 90s from my last course, and it looks fab. And it made me realise that actually there's a lot of furniture that's probably going to get neglected. So there's nothing wrong with doing IKEA. It's just probably me being a snob. But it would take a masking design brilliantly. You just need to make sure, oftentimes, that you've got a good surface on it so that your masking tape doesn't pull up the paint. This was going to be a first ever project, so I've absolutely no idea what to do. Well, we've got to start somewhere, and this is a good place to be. What? Lisa's asking what stool I'm on, and I have a really bad habit, and I do apologise, I won't be doing this tomorrow, of wheeling about on it. So I apologise if you're sitting there thinking, that's really annoying, could you stop doing that? It's one of these saddle stools for hairdressers, but brilliant for upcyclers as well, because you can scoot around in front of your piece of furniture, you can scoot around when you're photographing as well, which is great, but you can also be really annoying when you're doing lives by wheeling yourself backwards and forwards, so sorry about that. Yes, I'll be desk bound from now on, hopefully. Get that all set up for you. Like I say, if you're on replay, just drop them in the bottom of here as well, and I can pick up on in the morning. This recording will appear obviously straight away afterwards. Facebook gods are smiling on me. And it was only about 27 quid or something off Amazon, Lisa, so pretty and really good, because they're good for your posture. They make you sit properly, except when I'm leaning over like this. And then, yes, so you're watching this on replay, perhaps not on Facebook. I will have shared it. I'm going to be sharing out the links as soon as I've got them uploaded, if you want to watch anything back, if you didn't come in right at the beginning, for example. Those might be appearing in the morning once I've got them set up in a private YouTube video, because hopefully I can get a transcript down as well. And I think I forgot to put the captions on, didn't I? There's so many things to think about. Right. Any more questions? I'm just going to go nip and get a tissue while I wait and see if you've got anything. It's just getting a little bit chilly in here. It's an old mill building, so it's stone floors. It doesn't hold the heat at all. No, everybody looks good, or have I vanished? I think we're good, aren't we? So watch out in the now. Oh, I will also say, before, I said it ages ago, so it's obviously actually remembered that. There may be people who didn't get this morning's email. That will be rectified tomorrow, and obviously it's posted up here in the group, in the Facebook group. I think there was quite a few people who didn't let me have access to email you through GDPR, and I didn't even realise until people said they didn't get it. It was only, maybe a handful of people, but it was really, really hard for me to figure out who. So it's been rectified. I've overridden that setting for tomorrow, so everybody should get the email, but just let us know. Post up in the group if there's an issue, if you can, because it's quite hard when we get messages all over the place on different mediums to keep track and to remember where you were. So if you can just post up in here, and we'll help you. You've got a table. Oh, you've got a coffee table, haven't you? Yes. No, it's exciting. See, the thing about a coffee table, I like the idea because you're actually looking down on the design, and that's what I like about the front of a cabinet. Whereas a big table, I don't know if it's going to show it off to its best, but probably. It's a hell of a lot of perfect top coating to do, isn't it? Maybe that's part of the thing that puts me off with doing a massive table. Yeah, well, Jackie wants to know what her homework is. So if you want to, basically it's about, just assessing it for anything that the piece is telling you specifically that it needs, and that you think it needs. So, I'm going to need painting here. I'm going to, it doesn't matter so much about the repairs that that you can do. It's the things that you're going to have to work around. The things you're going to have to buy for it, stylish things you have to buy for it rather than, screws and stuff. And then, what else was it? Yeah, just the sort of any stylish elements about it that you're kind of thinking, I'd like to work with that. So for me, it's my grain's not very exciting, but I'm going to work with it because actually, I think that will bring that feature out more. So that's probably all I've got to say about it, because I don't know what handles I'm going to get. Some people will actually have a pair of handles that they want to use, and that will set their... So it's just creating a little set of notes, like a little brief to yourself if you are designing for yourself. If you're designing for somebody else, or you've got maybe you've set yourself a client, maybe a family member or something, and you can design for them, or you've got a room that you're designing for. Start to have a think about those things. We'll be going on tomorrow to carrying on with that theme, actually. So there'll be a bit more to think about in terms of the piece itself, what you want to be doing. Will I be taping mine? Well, this piece is probably... I think I'm probably going to carry on and do it on the course itself, which starts on the 22nd of February. So it would have to be tape. Yeah, it'd have to be tape, because that's what I'm teaching on there. I will be doing stenciling and a bit of decoupage and a bit of gold leafing, just touching upon it, but the main meat and potatoes of it is different masking tape design techniques. So yeah, so I've got some other ideas, but I don't know if they would be in this one. Melanie, you're not the first person to say that about Pink Floyd, about that sideboard. And I had to go and remind myself of the album cover. I don't know why, because it's like legendary. But to see how close it was. Yeah, I was thinking more at 1980s roller boots, to be fair. So, but that's probably a bit cooler, isn't it? Pink Floyd. I'll take that, though. All right. Any other questions before I go? Because it's starting to get a bit too cold. And I'll see you in the warm, same time tomorrow. I'll be on Instagram at midday again. A quick pop-up might not affect you guys quite so much, but if you're watching this on replay and you do want to catch me live and ask a question or two, I'm just going to drop in on there each day, because actually not everybody's on Facebook, so I think there's, 75 of us? So, and there's about 50 of us in here, so I think the rest are Facebook refusenicks. Good for them. I don't think I'll ever get away from it, but it's useful and annoying all at the same time, because we couldn't be able to do these things quite so well, would we? City Skyland using painter's tape, that would be gorgeous. See, the ideas are already coming. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So we'll sort of let the process unravel really as we go along. Unroll as we go along. We'll move on to a bit more about our inspiration tomorrow, and then get into some visual inspiration. I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up, and obviously start to design, as I mentioned, on Thursday. So I kind of want to take it step by step and not try and do it all at once. Right here. If you've got any other questions, just shout afterwards, and hopefully you'll get your email in the morning with task 2 ready to rock. Oh, and I need to remind, if anybody didn't notice, that there are prizes. I'm not sure if everybody noticed, but there are prizes for... this is an incentive to get through your design. I'm actually giving you a little bit longer to finish it, though, so you can go through the weekend and through the following week as well. So if anybody's watching on catch-up and thinking, oh, that's a bit too quick for me, the following Friday, the 5th of February. So I'm going to do ask everybody to sort of send them in by then. And there's £150 worth of Rocket St George vouchers, because they're really cool. They do things like handles, they do accessories and everything, so it could be, they do barware and stuff, so there's quite a lot of stuff you could use there with your piece of furniture. And then there's £100 of Durham North vouchers, so you can buy project supplies, and then two £50 ones as well, so you want to get your Fusion Mineral Paint, or I say general finishes, but a bit of a national shortage at the moment, but yeah, get yourself all stocked up and actually do the upcycle. So a little bit of incentive, not to procrastinate too much, and hopefully get to the end, because I'm terrible for doing that with courses, is sort of falling by the wayside. So I just thought that might help a little bit with the motivation. Right, I shall sort of bent double with a cold now, so I'm going to head off, and I'll be around the group though to pick up on any questions or any queries you've got. And I'll share the replay links as soon as I can. All right. Nice to see you all. I will catch up with you soon. Oh, sorry, there's one question just come in. What happens if you don't live in the UK? Oh, right, for the... Well, yes, I have thought about that, and I'll need to speak to one of my fellow stockists elsewhere and see what we can do about that. But yeah, we might have to just, or shuffle the prizes around. We'll think of something, Daniel. If you, yeah, and I'm going to get a little bit of help to help me judge, so it's not so partisan, you know, so that if you're not doing masking tape, it won't just be me going, it's not masking tape. Yeah, we'll sort something out. It's just nice to have an international contingent, so yeah, caught me out a bit there. All right, see you guys. Yeah, thanks for coming. We'll see you for day 2 tomorrow. Bye.